Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Columbus This Week with Trevor and Eric, and bringing you all the greatest news and events and stories that are going on in Columbus and in the general cosmos, I should say. So, welcome back, Trevor.
Hey, glad to be back.
Yeah, or maybe I should say welcome back to me, since you're like kind of the host.
Well, I live in the office.
Yeah. So,
hey, Eric, I got a question for you.
Yes.
How do you feel about the temperature here in the office?
I don't really mind because I'm not a giant wimp and complain about the cold like other people.
But it is 50 degrees here.
Yeah, sounds fine. Yeah, feels fine. Sounds fine. Feels fine to me. So
power got cut off. That's unfortunate. Or sorry, heat got cut off. That's unfortunate.
Yeah. Although my toes are a little cold, but whatever. But so I guess we should say, I don't know if we should apologize, but it's more like we, with the break and everything.
You got a hiatus.
Yeah. So. But we're back. We're gonna start, get back into a normal cadence, recording every week, or
try to record every week.
Yeah. So sometimes it's hard though. I mean, with with the holidays and stuff, we just have different things going on, and then whatever. So
yeah, I'll try and make an active effort to update Twitter and Facebook, and I think those are the only social media that we post on, or that we post episodes on. Yeah. But I'll try to keep those updated if there are going to be any episode gaps.
Yeah, sure. Sounds good. So to start with, there are a ton of good events going on, and I could only pick a handful. So I'm going to run through this list here, and then we can get back into the normal swing of things. So starting on the 15th, so the 15th through the 21st, there's the Short North Winter Sale, which sounded pretty cool. So if you're looking to grab some clothes or grab some gear or whatever they sell up there, stop by. It's like an all-day thing. And then on Tuesday, January 16th at 6:30 at Refectory, which is a great restaurant if you haven't been, they're doing a whiskey tasting for Woodford Reserves. I always mispronounce that, but it's I guess it's $65, but you get free food and then a cocktail, and then you get to try all the whiskeys and stuff. So that looked pretty cool. There's an upcoming class on the 17th from 5 to 7:30 p.m. called Understanding Website Effectiveness, how to understand the user journey using Google Analytics. So maybe if you're a small business or a small podcast or something like that, and you want to try to get some more information on your users, like demographics and all that kind of stuff, which we vehemently oppose here. But
I really do hate analytics and SEO.
Yeah.
Although I guess Google also hates SEO. So
yeah,
at least we agree on that.
Yeah. So that's free, and it's from 5 to 7:30. But it's at Improving, which is a company at Easton. They have a really cool office actually, and then we'll post the actual address in the show notes. On the 17th from 5 to 7:30, there's a upcoming. I wouldn't call it a class, but it's just more of like a meetup about blockchain and the decentralized economy at the Idea Foundry. So if you're interested in cryptocurrency, which we sometimes talk about on the show or whatever, that could be a cool event to go check out. And plus, I'm always looking for a good excuse to go to the Idea Foundry because it's awesome.
You planning on going to
that? Nope, because I will be in class.
Oh,
unfortunately. Well, actually, I might go. Yeah, maybe, because I actually don't think I have class that night. Well, I normally do, but I think it's canceled. So, okay. So continuing on, so if you've ever been interested in learning Japanese, like Trevor, maybe so you don't have to have subs for your anime.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
On the 16th from 7:30 to 8:50, there's a beginning Japanese class. And so it's $132, but it's like a 8-week class. So I think you go at the same time, whatever day the 16th is, Tuesday or something. I think it's probably every Tuesday for 8 weeks or whatever, which I think is a pretty good deal. $132 for 8 weeks of classes.
Yeah, and then you get
it's pretty cheap for training. So.
You get to spend the rest of your life making fun of those baka gaijins or whatever the fuck.
Yeah. And then this is pretty similar event. There's the Columbus Axe Throwing League. It starts on the 18th from 6:30 to 10, and it's over by it's on Bush Boulevard at Stars Indoor Sports. It's $110, and I think it goes on for a while. And then the cream of the crop here, the Columbus Winter Beer Fest on the 19th to 20th at the Convention Center. If you haven't been, this will probably be the drunkest you've ever been in your life, including even if you went to college. People are like, oh, I was so drunk in college, blah, blah, blah. It's like, well, you haven't been to the beer fest before. So, especially the indoor one, because it's it's cold outside, so you don't want to go outside, and then it's nice and warm in there, and there's just like a boatload of beer, and there are like lines, but because it's like the event space is like so big, it doesn't really feel like you can just hop between places. So
it's bizarre how trashed people get at those kinds of events.
Like, oh yeah.
Like all the highest recorded like BACs ever of people who lived,
all
happened like during Oktoberfest or something, where like people go up to like 0.7 or
I think that'd kill you, but
no, there's a risk of death, but it's like falling out of a plane without a parachute, right? Like you can survive, and people have, but like generally above 0.4 is you're in risk of death zone.
So the tickets are, I don't know what the prices of the tickets are because they have like different levels. So I figure our readers here can just
buy the most expensive ticket.
Well, I don't really care what they buy, but I just figured you can see which tickets you want to buy on your own or whatever. But I've had a lot of fun every time I've gone. I'm not going this year because I think I'm just too adult now, but
it's the beard, man. It's turning you old faster than you need to.
My goal is to look like what's that guy's name? He was the talk show host guy who grew a beard. Is it like Larry something? Who am I thinking of?
You're asking the wrong person. And also,
he was like the famous talk show guy. He like had like the late night talk show, like
Larry King.
No, not Larry.
Then why
King.
did you say?
I don't know. Larry.
David Letterman.
Yeah. David Letterman has a big beard now. That's what I'm going for. So Letterman beard.
Well, here's the problem with this little bit. No, most of our audience has no idea what you look like.
Yeah, and I'll keep it that way. So just imagine David Letterman, but younger and cooler, and not nearly as wealthy. So, all right. So those are some of the upcoming events. There are a whole bunch of other different like events going on, and so. Another, like something we like to do is, and we get these from time to time, is if you're interested in having us talk about your event, and as long as it doesn't suck or it's not trying to scam people, we'll talk about it. So shoot us an email,
or even if it is, send it to us anyways, and we'll just make fun of it.
Yeah, and we'll make fun of it. But if you send it to us and you say, "Hey, here's $50 to like talk about it on the show," and get out to like your thousands of listeners, then we'll do that. So we're like kind of ethical, but not all the time. So
ethic-ish.
Yeah, we're ethic-ish.
I mean, so. we're like the gray hat hackers of podcasts, really, if you think about it.
Yeah. So sometimes we'll screw you. Most of the time we won't, but it just depends. Okay,
how much you pay us?
Yeah. So moving into the construction roundup, I just got a couple things here. One of them is very awesome and relevant to me. So. Like right at the top of South Front Street before you cross the bridge to get to the downtown area, there's a Wasserstrom building, which is like used to be their headquarters or whatever, which it's been pretty empty for a long time, at least since I've like known of it. But they left. It was like they had like 225 people there. It's 140,000 square feet, but apparently they're gonna like redevelop that. So that's pretty cool.
Do we know what into?
No idea. People are talking about something like a North Market kind of something to promote foot traffic, basically.
But when we say people are talking,
like
people, we have no idea.
Like developers,
but we have no idea.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. There's an article. I just don't know I just don't have the facts of. I have some of the details, but not everything off the top of my head. And then there's another developer, Michael Tomko. I don't know. Who he works for or whatever, but. They're talking about doing the quote is, "We'll make it happen come hell or high water," to renovate a couple of the buildings like around the Capitol. One of them's the 4-story Hayden building, and the other one is, and that's at 20 East Broad Street, and then there's another one, a 12-story high-rise at 16 East Broad Street. And he bought both of the buildings for like $5 million, and he's basically planning on turning those into something. Some sort of redevelopment, so that's cool too.
I feel like we have the most useless downtown of any city.
Well, like it's a working downtown.
Yeah, downtown, like nothing happens.
Yeah. I mean, they have the Columbus Commons though, but yeah,
there's almost nothing, right? Yeah. Compared to like any other city in the Midwest.
Yeah, you mean the Great Lakes region, but yeah. Okay, so that's all I had for the
the lyric.
Roundup. Yeah,
it doesn't work if you say, what the Great Lakes region is, young and restless. That lyric doesn't work. You got to say Midwest.
Whatever. Well, you can say Midwest, but then you're just talking about like Nebraska and North and South Dakota and Iowa and like those states, but you're not. Ohio's like Northeast. Like I don't know, it's geographically Northeast at least,
Well, those the ones you just named are geographically northwest.
They're geographically north and west, but not northwest. So that's why they're Midwest. They're like the middle of the country, but they're kind of west.
North Dakota, you don't think is
actually what they should call it is like the plains. They should be defined by like the geographic region. So that's why Great Lakes makes sense. The plains makes sense.
Then what do we call the South if we're going by geography?
The swamp. Misery, heat, and humidity.
So that's what he meant by drain the swamp.
And you call California like earthquake land or something. All the California has to have like all the natural disasters. The only one they don't get is like plains. Yeah, maybe. But like California, they don't get tornadoes really, and then they don't get hurricanes. But every other thing they get. Like they get earthquakes, fires, mudslides, snow, rain, desert. Everything.
I thought northeastern California got tornadoes.
I mean, they might, I guess, but it depends because I think it's kind of hard for the weather because like it's coming off the ocean typically, and then like it runs into the mountain ranges. So
you know what's really messed up? There are a ton of people in California just waiting for natural disasters to happen so they can get a house cheap.
Yeah.
You know that's happening all over. Like, people are just sitting there waiting. It's kind of like me just waiting for the housing market to go bad.
Yeah, and which we'll talk about later. I got some news for you. So,
I mean, I'm sure I already know, but let's continue on.
All right. So,
is that it for construction?
Yeah.
All right, cool. All right, let's move on to the 2 minutes hate. Hopefully we'll be able to keep it to 2 minutes this time.
Very unlikely.
Doubt it. First up in the 2 minutes hate, this is actually your story coming from Not the Onion.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it happened like a while ago, but I think since we haven't recorded since this happened, it's interesting.
Yeah. So, long story short, in Oregon, in places that aren't Portland, and I believe Olympia too.
Probably.
That's in Washington.
Eugene or something.
Yeah, Eugene. Okay. So in the outside of the two big cities, it is now legal to pump your own gas in Oregon, and people are losing their minds.
Yep.
Hey, Eric, do you have any choice quotes for us?
Actually, no. But you can. We'll link to there's a Reddit discussion which has all those, which we'll link to, so people can.
I think we should read a couple.
Yeah, but I don't have any off the top of my head.
I'll grab them. You buy me time.
Oregon and New Jersey. So I don't know if you want to be in the company of New Jersey, but Oregon are like the only two states where it's illegal to pump your own gas. And once the state basically legalized it in Oregon, so you can actually pump your own gas like everybody else in the country does. And people were just flipping out. They're like, what about the fumes? Like, only a qualified technician should be able to pump the gas. And I'm like, you mean every other person in the country? Because what are you going to do? Just pull out the nozzle and just spray gas all over your face and then throw matches around? But I don't know. I mean,
another funny thing I saw was people from New Jersey defending them.
Yeah.
Being like, we don't want this.
Yeah. They don't want to be I don't know. But I just can't. I mean, it's nice to it's kind of cool to have somebody pay for or pump your gas or whatever, because there are still full service stations in other places. It's not it's not it's uncommon, but it's not impossible. But
I don't even know how to pump gas, and I am 62, native Oregonian.
Yeah,
I say no thanks. I don't want to smell like gasoline.
Yeah, it's well, you won't smell like gasoline unless you pour it all over yourself like a giant idiot. There's what was the other one was I'm gonna stand my ground. I'm gonna pull into the gas station and I'm just gonna sit there in my car until somebody comes out and pumps my gas.
I have lived in this state all my life and I refuse to pump my own gas. I had to do it once in California while visiting my brother and almost died doing it. This is a service only qualified people should perform. Yeah. I will literally park at the pump and wait until someone pumps my gas. Yeah. I can't even.
Yeah, people like that. It's just incomprehensible how stupid it is. Whatever.
Does no one consider the cumulative effects of breathing in small amounts of gas over time? Lung cancer rates will skyrocket. Who knows how this will affect other body systems?
Yeah, they don't care about the gas attendants pumping it, but not them. It's funny.
Oh my god, this is so great. I was forced to pump my parents' gas when I was 10 years old. I even somehow managed to fight off the savages and make my way back to the store to pay with cash. People are having a lot of fun with this on Twitter.
Yeah.
All right, and next up in the 2 minutes hate, kind of an abrupt transition, but whatever.
Yeah. Well, other people they can. We don't want to spoil all the good comments, so
yeah. Just go read it yourself on Twitter.
Yeah.
But anyways, next up in 2 minutes hate, we have Twitter. So Twitter has a policy about sort of not allowing VPNs to use their service, right?
Sure.
So Iran recently, like within the last month, banned a bunch of social media, including Twitter. And so the only way to access them is via VPN.
Yeah.
And so essentially, by blocking VPNs, Twitter is enforcing state censorship of like China and Iran.
Which they want to do anyway, because that's like, I mean, that's what they do anyway. Otherwise, they wouldn't be allowed to be in like China and stuff.
But the thing is, they're not like in Iran. The website is blocked. But
but it's even like more blocked.
I think a lot of companies don't think about the consequences of doing something like, oh, we're going to block VPNs.
Yeah.
And thereby, basically be the enforcers of government censorship.
Yeah.
Right? Like they're doing whether they want to or not, they're currently doing the bidding of the Iranian government and censoring the population and making it so they can't communicate.
Yeah. Not a big fan of that, so.
All right.
Yeah, whatever.
Well, should we move on to
sucks. Okay.
Columbus news?
Yeah, so we got some good Columbus news. So, Trevor, you know how you were hoping to buy a house one day? I got some news for you. Last year, the value of Central Ohio homes rose. This is crazy. 15.1%. Like, so I mean, it could be if the homes are only worth like $100,000, and a 15% increase doesn't really matter that much, but they're obviously a lot more expensive than that. But they jumped 15%, and it was the largest percentage jump of any of the like 35 largest metro areas.
Meanwhile, my investments went up 14%, so it's not really a loss.
Kinda. I mean, it's 1% loss there.
Yeah, but
still lost 1%. So anyway, just wanted to throw that at you and try to make you feel bad.
Just from the people you and I know, I feel like everybody and their mother who doesn't live in Columbus is talking about considering moving to Columbus. Yeah. Literally yesterday, I heard it twice. Somebody being like, "We're considering moving to Columbus because the housing is so much cheaper here."
Yeah, maybe if you live in Seattle or New York or
almost anywhere else.
It's getting pretty expensive. Like if you go on Zillow, like it's pretty difficult to find a house in a not crappy area for like less than $300K.
Well, even like in the Midwest, we're one of the cheapest. We're cheaper than Chicago. We're cheaper than
Chicago. I mean, that makes sense. It's Chicago, but
we're cheaper than Philly or Pittsburgh.
Are we cheaper than Pittsburgh?
Yes, we are.
That's interesting. I mean, I wouldn't have thought that. I could see Philly, but
I mean, average salary is also higher there, but our cost of living is lower and our housing is lower.
Yeah. That kind of surprises me.
But if this 15% thing continues, that might not be the case in a couple of years.
Yeah, I see no reason that the values won't continue to increase, at least anytime soon. As if there isn't like a correction sorry, I apologize for using the word correction.
Yeah, please don't do that.
It is, but it's just that's what people use. So
corrections don't.
But
exist.
if there is a decrease in the price, or
what I'm saying is, if the rate of Columbus growth over Pittsburgh growth continues, then maybe in a couple of years. I'm not just talking about growth, because both are going to grow, right? Human population isn't decreasing in the United States.
Yeah, which is one of my big pet peeves. I think we need less people.
You have a lot of those. You have a lot of big pet peeves.
Yeah, I do. I mean, I think we need.
Less people, less cars.
Yeah, I mean, this is
less
a little
cities.
But yeah, all of those things. So this is a little bit of an aside, but I think it's relevant. Here's the problem, Trevor.
Lay it on me, Eric. Lay the problem on me.
All right. So guess what happens when the population increases?
We need more food.
Well, food's not even an issue, but you need more space to put people. You use more resources. You have to grow the physical infrastructure, which costs money. You have all these things, and it's like the government's unwilling. The government's like incompetent mostly, so they're unwilling to. They can't actually handle any sort of huge population increase. And then from what I read, like the population in Columbus is supposed to grow like by another 1 million people by like 2030 or 2035 or something. Like where are those people going to go?
The outer belt.
I mean, yeah, maybe.
What do you mean? Yeah, maybe. You think we're going to like a super dense?
Well,
I mean, we're going to switch to super dense housing inside 270. I doubt it.
In some areas, I think so.
You're going to see way more pop growth outside the belt.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. But the point is, all those people got to go somewhere. And houses. And so, but here's the thing. Like, let's say you're a nurse and you work at Ohio State. Where are you going to live? outside the outer belt because I mean they're not going to pay a nurse enough to live like inside once the prices start rising. So then what's next? Now you got an hour and a half drive, and then you have no parking and all this stuff, and it's gonna cause all these problems.
Man, imagine
and they can't what are they gonna do? Double the size of 270? Like how great would that be? It wouldn't be great. That's the spoiler alert there.
Man, imagine if Columbus had commutes of other cities like San Francisco.
Yeah, it would suck. It'd be awful. So I don't want more people here. I want fewer people.
Hey, Eric,
in general. Like I think that like
I
think we should have like 3 billion people max.
A few episodes ago, you said 1 billion people. Can you just like choose a number
between 1 and 3? I don't know. It doesn't matter. Like 1 billion, 3. Either way, we need a significant like reduction.
You just want to call the population. That is.
Well, I think just a little. I want people to
little bit.
No, well, I mean that's going to happen anyway.
Call.
It's going to happen anyway. Like it's not going to happen. Like the United States and like Western Europe and like Japan and South Korea or whatever. And Australia too. Like they're like largely just going to be fine. Like there aren't going to be issues. But in Africa, Southeast Asia, South Asia, the Middle East, all these these kind of areas, there's going to be mass starvation. Thousands and thousands of people are going to die. There are going to be new, there are going to be new diseases that are going to ravage people because the population of those places is continuing to increase. And
I mean, you're sort of ignoring the elephant in the room,
which is
India.
No, I think India is screwed too. There's already too many people there. Like if you ask anybody that's like from India and you're like, hey, like if I want to travel to India, they just tell you to stay away from the big cities. Why? Because there's too many people. You can't get anywhere. You can't do anything. And as long as they continue to grow, it's just going to continue to get worse. And then where are you gonna put all those people? I mean, you can only import so much like agriculture, I guess. Like they can import like food and stuff, but the rivers are already dirty. Like the Ganges is supposed to be like so dirty that it's clean, I guess. I don't know if you
I know about the river, but I mean, to be fair, people burn bodies in that river.
Yeah, I mean that's what I'm saying is like people do all kinds of stuff like that. Eventually, somebody's going to get sick, and then something's bad. I'm just saying, like if you have too many people,
you're just predicting a global plague, is all.
Yeah, I mean, there's no reason for that not to happen. I mean, historically, those are things that happen. Why would that not happen?
I mean, historically, we didn't live in a time of modern medicine either. I mean,
yeah, but how are you going to treat a whole bunch of people like that, like quickly enough for some disease not to spread? Especially if it's, I don't know. So like if you get something that's like highly infectious and has a high mortality rate, which isn't really in the interest of like whatever the disease is, but it just is. If you get something like that and they're like quick deaths from it, modern medicine is not going to be able to find a cure fast enough for a whole bunch of people not to die. Especially so India is a little bit of a fun case to think about just because it's more modern than not. But like in Africa or something, I mean, how are you going to get medicine there quick enough?
I think you're really underestimating Africa. Because here's the thing: if a global plague breaks out, everybody's got to move to Madagascar. That's the only option, and then close the port.
Yeah, yeah. But I don't know. I mean, I'm just kind of worried because you add more people, you continue to add more people. There's more strain on cities, more strain on, Earth, the resources of the planet. It's not sustainable. So
yeah.
But anyway, so to continue on with some other interesting growth stuff for Columbus. So apparently, according to Airbnb, Columbus ranks number 6 for growth on Airbnb's trending destinations category. How cool is that?
Why?
So I don't know. It's a cool place, I guess. I don't know. People are probably thinking like, oh, it's not too expensive to go check it out. Like, let's go.
Well, I mean, this just surprises me because I feel like Airbnb's clientele is largely people who fly places for work or for vacation. But like our airport's bad, and
our airport's a lot better than it. I wouldn't call it bad. Why is it bad? Maybe bad like connections wise, but
yeah, no, that's exactly
okay. I would say like physically, the airport's great. Like you don't have to wait in traffic or anything. Like you just get dropped off.
Right, but options wise, it's not ideal.
Yeah.
And then we're not like a tourist hotspot.
Yeah. Well, apparently we're trending. So
yeah. So I just don't know what that metric means, but I'm not sure.
I think it's so.
What's number 1?
So okay, actually, I was just going to say that. So number 1 is I don't know how to pronounce it, but it's the city that they're going to host the Winter Olympics in Korea. So I don't.
This is worldwide. We're number 6.
Yeah.
Doubt it.
Hey, I mean it's Airbnb's like own data. They're saying Columbus is trending number 6. So
Well, maybe their data is bullshit.
I mean, it's possible, or maybe it's not.
Or their
it's their data,
or rather, their interpretation is nonsense.
Well, I don't know, but yeah. So globally, Columbus ranks number 6 for Airbnb's trending destinations category. So I'm gonna, bump the mic, but
You're gonna bump the mic?
Yeah, I'm gonna look that up too while we're chatting about it.
Is it Busan?
Huh?
You said South Korea, right?
It's spelled Gangneung, like
okay.
Gangneung or something.
All right. Cool.
I wonder if there's a. I don't even use Airbnb, like their website, so I have no idea how to find out. I mean, just Google search Airbnb trending.
Anyways,
but so then what's fun to talk about here though is Columbus. There's a related article here. Columbus is actually looking to regulate Airbnb such that they would restrict hosts from renting out their homes, their rooms or homes for no more than 90 days per year, and then they are going to levy the city and hotel and motel exercise tax on the rentals too. So it's like a 5%, 5.1% tax or something.
I'm opposed to this.
Yeah.
I mean, New York did the same thing, and it was very clearly hotel protectionism, right? They were trying to protect like the Marriott and all the hotels that are basically downtown in Manhattan.
Yeah.
And I don't like business protectionism of the city against its own citizens.
Yeah. Now, so I agree with you in that in general, but one of the issues I have is that there's some cities where it's gotten so bad that it's just like turned into a tourist trap. Like people don't live there anymore. It's just like tourists. And so people who like used to live in like these like nice communities or whatever, all of a sudden there's just like, people who don't live there, tourists or whatever. And it's just kind of, it's not, I don't know. It doesn't seem like it's ideal for for that community. So,
so the question is, why did that happen?
Right. And the answer is I have no idea, but so I'm not completely opposed to like some sort of rules and regulations, but I am opposed to it because I also don't like the hotel industry, just on principle. So
yeah, I'm not I mean, when it comes down to it, I'm just not a fan of like the city being like, hey, you can't do this with your house.
Yeah. I mean, I think if they wanted, I think they should also make a distinction between rooms and entire homes. Because like renting out a room is just a room, like you're still living there. But if you're like you buy a house just to rent it out, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that. But so I actually on the trending destinations I have the list if you want to hear. So that the one place Gangneung or whatever in Korea, their increase they have like the percentage increase I think from the previous year or at least So that place in Korea, and this one makes sense because they're hosting the Olympics, but a 2,000 plus percent increase, like 2,100. Bournemouth in the UK is 353%. Edmonton, Canada, 284. Indianapolis, 256. Da Nang, Vietnam, 255. Columbus, 254. And then
no one cares about anything after Columbus.
Yeah, but some place in Spain, Hanoi, a couple places in Japan, Canada, some other places like that. So, which I don't know. I mean, Indianapolis is on there too, which I always find weird. The only what I think is for Indianapolis is probably because they were hosting like the Big Ten championship, so you have like a big event. So I'd say Columbus is actually ahead of Indianapolis. I also don't like Indianapolis.
You don't like any city.
I don't like
Columbus.
No, I mean I like Pittsburgh, for example. I mean excluding all the sports teams because it's just annoying.
What do you have against the Steelers?
They're just lame. Steelers fans are lame.
What about fans?
Yeah, probably gonna get some death threats for that, but
just a couple.
Yeah,
mostly from my family.
Yeah. Well, never mind. All right, let's not get into that. But
fine.
Okay. So moving on, we have a list here of. Let's see. Oops, sorry, I got this thing out of order. Okay, so we have a list here. There are 8 national parks in the state, not necessarily the city, who are in need of $80 million in deferred maintenance. And believe it or not, I don't know if you can believe this, but it looks like there's actually bipartisan support to get these national parks like the funding they need for the maintenance. So
that's cool. Why wouldn't I believe it?
Well, because I mean the Republicans are pretty typically not pro national parks, even though Teddy Roosevelt was the big national park guy. But well, you know, like we were talking about like a few weeks ago, Trump was like, "Hey, we got to like get sell off the national park land and like that." He's like a pro, not national park guy. Well, here's the thing, like so I guess Senator Rob Portman has is like even he's.
So are we talking national Senate that they're trying to get money for?
No, this is just Ohio. Well, they might be getting it. They might be trying to get it for the feds, but I think in general, these are all Ohio national parks.
Okay, but I mean, what does Portman have to do with it if it's state level?
Because he's our senator.
He's national senator.
Yeah. So
what I'm saying is this going through the Senate and is this going through the U.S. Senate or like the Ohio Senate?
Yeah, I am not very clear on that. It could be both though, because the state. They're national parks, but the state probably typically, I would assume, has some involvement in it. So, but it's probably just the. Well, here's the actual act. So it's the National Park Service Legacy Act. So this is a federal act. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, keep in mind that any money that's going to a particular state, the legislators for that state are always going to support it.
Yeah, of course.
So of course Portman's going to support it.
Yeah, but then again, he's like anti-net neutrality, even though money would be going to the state. So, there's stuff like that.
I mean that whole bill is split along political lines. Like you don't get a choice on what to vote there.
Yeah. Although, never mind. We'll save that for later. But
I mean, you know how party whipping works, right?
Generally, yeah. All right. So I got another article here for you, Trevor, and it's make Columbus age friendly again. So the city council president pro temp Michael Stinziano wrote an op-ed, and basically he was saying that the Central Ohio's 65 and older population is set to double in the next 35 years. I don't know. It's one thing to double the population, but I don't know the absolute numbers. And so he basically says that working with these different agencies that we need to, put a little bit more thought into making things more age friendly again. So like having, I don't know, like, what are they called? Like, just something like being more accessible. So they were saying that, there's some neighborhoods that are inaccessible, or like being able to enjoy parks and fine dining and all this kind of stuff.
12 million.
12 million.
Currently.
He said in Columbus.
Oh, I was talking. Okay, that's fine.
I don't know how many. I don't think there are 12 million old people in Columbus. So
yeah, I mean, yeah,
would be weird.
That's Ohio.
Yeah. Wait, 12? No, that's not true either, because the population's 12 million. That's national, or something. The population of Ohio is like 12 million.
I don't think. Well, maybe. Yeah. Okay. Maybe.
Yeah. But anyway, who doesn't matter. Whatever. But basically, he's like trying to start a new initiative to make things more age friendly again, which I largely agree with. I think. I mean, the problem is like people just. It's like once you get old, like they end up kind of getting confined to homes, and then they have to like drive their car everywhere, and they're not really like connected to their community. And then the family has to like come over and visit, like your grandpa and grandma and stuff. And then, like I know from my own experience, like
123,000 roughly in Franklin County.
Okay, so like my own grandma, like I feel like she's kind of isolated because she lives in a suburb or whatever, and she she has like a walking cane and stuff now, and like how is she supposed to interact with society if like all of her interactions have to be like she gets in a car and then like goes somewhere and then like go to the grocery store or something like that. Like she can't find parking in the short north. Like she wouldn't know how to do that. So I kind of empathize a little bit with like the having difficulty to access to stuff like that. But
so I mean, I think the problem is eventually people just get too old to walk anywhere. So my grandmother used to like walk down to the grocery store, which was like a block away from her house all the time.
Yeah.
And she's just getting to the age where like that's just not like it's not comfortable for her, so she drives.
Yeah.
And like nothing else has changed in her environment. She's just gotten older, and eventually that's going to happen.
Right.
So I think like it's a hard problem to fight because like 65 plus, we're talking about people who aren't ever going to be that mobile in the first place. Like they basically need places to park because otherwise they're not going to get out. That's it.
It's either that or even having stuff closer, but like having just like so in the short north they have like that hopper cart thing. I could easily see grandmas jumping on that thing. I mean, I'm just saying like I also don't think the jump in a car and like drive to everything is a good solution because then you get a bunch of old people on the road. So
I mean, people tend to drive better than. I mean, that's a skill you don't lose nearly as quickly.
Yeah, but like they lose their eyesight and stuff. I don't know.
I mean, I think the biggest new problem we're going to start seeing with old people, or words are hard with
yeah,
the 65 plus population, is that I think people are becoming more socially isolated, but particularly this group due to social media.
Oh yeah,
like
definitely. I think the people who are in like their 40s and 50s right now are probably going to be the most depressed generation we've ever had
of retirees.
Yeah,
absolutely. It's. I mean, as sad as it is, I think it's going to be pretty brutal because.
Oh yeah. Absolutely.
Social media is isolating, and you're taking people who are already socially isolated, and you're basically
you're mimicking what should be social interaction through. Because like my grandpa, like, you know, people give their like maybe the family gets together and like gives their grandparent like an iPad or like some other tablet so they can keep in touch.
Yeah.
And then like, oh, you can get the family email, like the family photographs, and then it's like another excuse not to go visit your grandparents.
I mean, that's not the only problem. The other problem is that while it proxies social interaction, it actually has sort of the opposite effect in a lot of ways.
Right, because now they're sitting at home missing out on all their family's experience.
Not only that, social media also increases people's stress.
Yep.
And people who use it for prolonged, in prolonged, I guess, segments of use.
Yeah.
Also suffer from social isolation.
Right.
And you're taking a population that's already sort of
predisposed towards,
and you're basically putting them under you're putting them under stress. You're further isolating them, and you're just consuming hours and hours of their time doing this.
Yeah.
And I think that's just a recipe for disaster.
Yeah. So you heard it here first. We're gonna have a big problem here in like 20 more years. So
I mean, I don't even think it's 20 more years.
Well, it's a problem now, but it's going to be worse.
Yeah, like my grandmother's retired. She's 65 plus, and she's like on a device all day.
Yeah.
Like that's going to be. I mean, that's already going to be everybody. Do you know anyone who you would consider too old to use like a smart device now? Because I don't think that exists.
Well, I mean, maybe if you're like 85 or already.
Well, maybe, but like the current 65 plus I guess at 65, I feel like the vast majority of those people are using smart devices, just like everyone else.
Yep.
And so it's not a 20 years from now problem. It's a now problem.
Yeah. I just think it's going to get worse in 20 years.
But. Yeah. I mean, that's fair. But I don't think, I wouldn't even say 20 years. I'd say like it's going to plateau at its, peak badness, probably in like 5 to 10.
Yeah. Yeah, so the mental well-being of our older, and so and this I think goes back to kind of to the original article or talk about making like infrastructure improvements and that kind of stuff. Like, I mean, it's like one scenario, like let's say like your grandma or somebody is on social media all the time, like they're sitting at home and stuff. But let's say they do want to go out. Now it's like harder because it's more of a chore and all this all this stuff. So like finding a way to make it easier, like give older people like an easier avenue to get outside if their family's not around, I think it's a worthwhile goal. I don't know the best solution for that or whatever, but
yeah. Long story short, people need real community.
Yeah. So let's get on Facebook.
I agree.
Okay. So you had the final article on our Columbus news.
All right. The FCC is fining Sinclair Broadcast Group $13.4 million for running sponsored content as news. So Sinclair Broadcast Group owns a bunch of owns 2 local television shows. They own
a channel, you mean?
Yeah.
Okay.
They own Fox 28 channel, and they also own ABC locally. Okay. And so for an organization this big, because they own a ton of local media across the country, $13.4 million is not a lot. But I mean, it is good to at least see that they're getting dinged for literally running sponsored content.
Yeah,
completely disguised as well,
news. What they said was so they got fined for running news stories on a cancer foundation, but not disclosing that the foundation was paying for the airtime. So
I've just this is an aside, but I've decided I'm never ever donating money to cancer charities.
Why?
Because it just it seems like everybody who wants to run a scam charity where you pay the CEO like 20% of all donations or whatever.
Yeah.
Like all of those are cancer charities. I don't know why, but people
I just don't donate because I'm greedy and selfish. But
well, like the Susan G. the Susan G. Komen Foundation donates like less than like 7% to to actual research and stuff. It's crazy. And then they sue you if you use the color pink with breast
I remember
cancer.
Talking about that. Yeah, that's crazy.
Anyways, there's just been so many bad stories about like cancer charities in particular that I don't know. Pelotonia is fine, I guess, but like other than that, I think
they actually donate all their money. So.
I would go, but other than them, I would literally go out of my way to avoid donating to a cancer charity versus any other type of charity.
It's also cool because they're local, so
yeah.
And it makes it cooler.
We got stuck in the parking lot with the CEO.
That's a cool story. Well, I mean, nothing cool happened. It'd be cool if he was really rich and he was like, "Oh, we got stuck here. Here's $1 million."
Yeah, I don't think that ever happens. That's how people keep their millions, Eric.
If you're like Jeff Bezos or something, why not just do that one day? Just be like, just walk up to somebody and then just give him $1 million check. Like, you don't care. He doesn't care about $1 million. I mean, I'm sure he cares about it, but you know what I mean? Like, think about like how just crazy that would be.
Eric, why don't you just like walk up to a homeless guy one day and just like give him $1,000?
I would, but I don't have $1,000 to give a homeless person.
I mean, I feel like that's a similar example. That's basically what you're
saying. It wouldn't be life changing for them, and plus they would just squalor it away on like drugs and alcohol. So
well, then find somebody who works like a minimum wage job.
So that would definitely be better, and people do that. So you have all those stories about people leaving like $300 tips or like $20,000 tips and stuff. People do that on occasion.
Yeah,
I'm not going to do that.
Just not you.
I'm not doing that because I'm greedy and poor. But I think other people should do that, particularly if they give me the money.
Oh.
But yeah, I mean, you can't give homeless people money. But yeah, somebody's working, working minimum wage or something like that. But even then, it's like, I don't know. Like if the money was given to me, like I have a sustainable use for it. Like I would just invest it. So, the money would go a long way. So you got to be careful who you give it to, or at least educate them. Make sure, like, hey, like you got $1 million. Like, don't just like if you like won $1 million, like people are like, oh, I'm gonna like quit my job. I'm like, are you crazy? Like $1 million is not that much. I mean, it's a lot of money, but it's not enough money to quit your job. Like if I won $1 million right now, I'd be going to work Tuesday. Like nothing would change other than I'd pay off some debts or stuff.
For most of the country, they would use, like if they got $1,000, they would use it to like get caught up on their bills.
Yeah,
because a huge percentage of the population is behind on debts.
Yeah, but
all right, but that's it for that story. Basically, media company does bad thing and gets caught and fined for it.
Well, I'm a big fan of the local news. I don't know. I mean,
well, the problem with the biggest problem with local news is that almost no local news is owned locally. It's all owned by these giant conglomerates like Sinclair.
That's true. I think if you watch
the
local
Dispatch
news,
is the same way.
Yeah, well, Dispatch is awful just for its own reasons. But I think if you watch, like I watch, like I just have local news on in the background generally, especially like on the weekends and stuff. I think they do a lot of good programming actually. So I think it's either Saturday. I usually watch NBC4. And I think either Saturday, and other channels do this too, but on Saturday or Sunday, one of the 2 days, like they have they'll like bring in like animals from the zoo, for example. And then, they have somebody who's an expert on the animal and they like talk about it and it, maybe gets, kids or like other people excited or what have you. And so they do like that kind of stuff. And on top of generally reporting just local news and like the weather. And then if something really crazy happens nationally, like they report that. But I mean, I don't like that they're owned by larger corporations, but I think largely they do okay. So,
how do you feel about the Dispatch?
Well, I mean, the Dispatch is just garbage. So,
just flat out.
Yeah, I mean, it really is. Like, there are other better local. Like, I mean, even if you just went to the Columbus subreddit, I think that's better. That's a better news source than the Dispatch.
Where like 1 in 5 articles are from the Dispatch.
Well, they typically, so what they'll do is they'll have like the base article, but then people come in and like discuss it. Sometimes they just troll it, but
I do like how anymore like a quarter of the comments are just complaining about the Dispatch's terrible website.
Yeah, I also like that like half the comments are about, hey, we need like an electric snake. So
electric snake.
Yeah, we need that.
Buzz snake.
Yeah. So for those who don't know, if maybe they don't go to the Columbus subreddit, it's kind of a meme that people so. Streetcars are called electric snakes.
No. Electric snake is the Hyperloop. Hyperloop is electric snake.
You sure? I thought it was like monorail and stuff.
I don't think so. That makes more sense, but
yeah, I'm pretty sure
circle jerks don't have to make sense. Are we really arguing about electric snack here?
I think we are.
All right. Anyways, do you want to move on to a debate and discussion, or should we keep talking about snacks?
No, let's move on. Although, so I was in Toronto recently, and dude, so they have streetcars, and they just go with the traffic, and people just get on them, and it's perfect. Like, the only thing I don't like about them, and I think this is a fair criticism, is because they're electric, so they have like the wires.
Yeah.
So it looks kind of ugly. But unless somebody has a better solution, which I'm all in favor if there's a better solution, but
Hyperloop?
No, that's not. You can't do local transportation on Hyperloop.
Local Hyperloop? Local loop?
Well, you could do like what Denver is doing, to Hyperloop to the airport. I think they should just Hyperloop those people out into space. But yeah, I think like I just don't understand why they don't, like, all you have to do is lay the tracks and put the little wires up and then just run the stupid car up and down High Street.
You have to tear up the road.
Who cares? Like, who cares about the, like,
everyone who commutes High Street.
Dude, you just lay the tracks down. Like, that's all you do. You just lay the tracks down,
just and then it goes.
They're on top of the street. It goes with the traffic.
I don't think they are.
Yeah, they are. I was just like, well, I mean, they might be dug in a little bit, but they're largely like just on top of the street.
Right. Yes, you have to tear up the road.
I mean, you just dig it in a little bit. It's not like, I mean, they
gotta destroy the road a little bit.
Dude, they do construction on, like, have you been in the Short North recently? Like, they just had the entire, like, front of the convention center all tore up and stuff. Like, they do that all the time and nobody cares. It just is what it is.
People do care. People hate it. I'm just saying.
Well, then they can stop driving cars and just sit at home, I guess. Because, like, that's what, I mean, if you have roads have to have construction done. So, but, like, the thing is, like, it just goes with traffic. So it just goes down the street and you just follow it with your stupid car. So it's like a win-win. So you get public transportation that's not a bus, and then you also get, like, you get to keep driving your car.
All right. So
anyway,
ready to move on to debate and discussion?
Yeah, let's move on.
All right. So let's move on to debate and discussion, Eric. I believe you have the first topic.
Yeah, I do. So there was an article in the New York Times, I think a couple days after Christmas, that I wanted to talk about, but so I've been anxiously awaiting this. So the title of the article is "The Robots Are Coming and Sweden is Fine," and then the sub title is "In a World Full of Anxiety About the Potential for Job-Destroying Rise of Automation, Sweden is well placed to embrace technology while limiting human costs." Okay, so to summarize the article is people in Sweden who have, I guess, more, what's the right term? Not, I don't want to say like socialized benefits, but like they have like stronger worker protections, more unions, and typically the unions and employers and the government work together to promote like workers and promote the interests of, not basically making sure like if new technology comes in and automates a job, like you're not just like kicked to the curb like they do in like the US or like other countries or whatever.
So the problem here is that if you read the article, they make it very clear that like there are alternate jobs coming up for people.
Yeah.
So what happens when there's not, Eric? What happens when there's literally just not work?
So that's something interesting to think about. I think there's always going to be some form of work. I think what that is, it's going to change. So from my perspective, one of the areas that's going to change in is going to be, so how much like CrossFit gyms cost? They're like $150 a month per person, kind of thing. And then there's going to be a lot more. I think there's going to be a lot more people who have free time to do stuff like that. The question is whether the government steps up and basically like. So here's the thing: like let's say you're Jeff Bezos, right? Because we were talking about him earlier. He's fabulously rich, as he should be, for creating a valuable service. He employed a whole bunch of people. Now let's say like a whole bunch, for whatever reason, 20, 30 years in the future, like most of the work is automated. He's still like, super rich, and then they still hire some people who are also getting paid a lot of money, but maybe all the factory, all the warehouse workers are gone or something. As long as we basically tax him and these other rich people, and I have no problem with rich people, so keep that in mind here. But as long as we tax those people enough so that those other workers aren't, just sitting at home, like they don't have any money and like they can't afford food and all that kind of stuff. If we create an economy in like a country where losing your job isn't the end of the world like it is right now, then those people who maybe are getting, some sort of, they're getting they're getting tax money to live or whatever, then they go spend it in other ways. Like maybe they spend it on violin lessons and they pay to, help somebody who's a violin teacher. And then, that instead of working a stupid factory or sitting in front of a computer all day, maybe you're out learning a new interesting skill that might not contribute to anything, but you're doing something. The danger is if all those, like, a bunch of jobs vanish and then people don't have anything else to do, that's what's to be worried about. You have to find a way to make sure that people aren't just losing jobs and then, like, not getting anything. And then we were talking about population increase earlier. That's another area of concern, because if we keep bringing in more people and we keep having more children here, so it's not like an immigrant thing. It's just population growth in general. If we keep having more people and then we start having fewer jobs, something's got to give. Like, there's no, it's not like just going to keep working. Okay. Right.
I mean, you're positing a potential solution that might not be able to come to fruition, though.
True.
Yeah. So the reality of the situation is this isn't as rosy as the article paints it. Like,
yeah, they do at the end have a rebuttal to their painting of that, but yeah.
I mean, yeah, the big premise of the article is based on the fact that the workforce is shifting. It's shifting
right.
from non-technical to technical jobs, even in the same company. They're talking about a mining company where their employees are shifting from being non-technical to technical, right?
Yeah.
You're remotely operating a crane instead of, swinging a pick or whatever.
Yeah.
Or actually, I mean, rather than running machinery on site is the real thing. But
right.
This isn't always going to be the case. Like,
yeah. So let me just to go along with what you're saying, there's a quote here. So maintaining Sweden's social safety net also requires that the public continue to pay tax rates approaching 60%. Yet, as Sweden absorbs large number of immigrants, again, this has nothing to do with immigrants, other than I'm quoting the article because I don't care about any of that. As Sweden absorbs large number of immigrants from conflict-torn nations, and I'm quoting directly, that support may wane. Many lack education and may be difficult to employ. If large numbers wind up depending on a government subsidy, more or less, the backlash could result. So they come in, you don't have the technical skills, you can't get a job, you're just sitting there, like, getting paid every month. Like, apparently a lot of people have a problem with that, but to add to your point,
you run the risk. I mean, Sweden currently is going to run the same risk that France that sort of realized in France, where if you tax all the wealthy people, like 90% or whatever, then they're going to leave and you're going to have a huge unemployed population, and it's not good for your country.
Yeah. So
all the people in Spain that are just sitting around, all the people in France that are just sitting around and are angry because they have to live on this, like, I mean, so when you're unemployed, even if you have a strong social safety net, and
you're still unemployed.
I wouldn't say Spain's is, right. First of all, you're not doing anything, and second of all, you have established yourself as being, like, the bottom of the societal totem pole, aside from, like, maybe homeless people.
Right. It's like, what is it there? So I'm not a big fan of the Bible, obviously, but there's like the summary of the quote is like, idle hands lead to bad thoughts or something like that. And I think an issue is, like, I mean, if you're just sitting around all day, I mean, I guess you could play video games, but there's a worry that where something could wind up being balanced, where you have a social safety net for entrepreneurs, and then maybe you work. There's some people who work part time, and then on the other 20 hours a week or however long they're working, they're, like, teaching, or they're, like, out working out, or, like, doing something like that, which I think is good for people. The danger is if you end up with too many people who wind up with not a job and without hobbies and stuff, even if they're getting money in, then they start getting bored, and who knows, and then it's just not good.
Japan actually has a term for this. It's called hikikomori.
Yeah,
and it describes reclusive adolescents or adults that withdraw from social life, often seeking extreme degrees of isolation and confinement.
Yeah, so you have to basically just, like, live in their apartment.
Yeah, and, like, never leave, and are just on their computer or whatever, like, all day every day until they're found dead eventually or something.
Right. Which is not good.
Like, that's not a good existence.
Right.
I've got a friend who kind of he's a friend who lives pretty far away, but he kind of fits that bill, right? He just, like, gets his government money, and he just plays video games all day, and just drinks, and, like, that's just his life.
And eats pizza and
stuff. That's not that's not a good existence.
Right. Yeah, I completely agree. So the utopian rosy picture viewpoint is that you have enough jobs so that if somebody really wants like a higher paying technical job, so that they do like, there has to be a motivation to, if you want to do more work, then you get some sort of reward, whether it's starting a company or whether it's becoming highly specialized, and then maybe you get paid 2 or 3 times as much as somebody who's not, who's unemployed. I'm just throwing out random numbers here, but maybe, you have 2 or 3 times as much money. So, maybe you get to go on vacation more often or something, but you put work in towards that. And then people who, maybe they don't value that as much and they would rather not work or not get that specialization. They could work part-time if they wanted to, but then they can also go learn to play the violin or go to I'm just making stuff up, but go to a CrossFit gym or, go, be a bike racer or something like that. Like they can take on these other hobbies or what have you. But
I mean, I think it's getting kind of philosophical, and this is a topic that in
which is why I brought it up.
Yeah, so. In philosophy has sort of been talked to death. But I mean, ultimately, the problem is, at least in my view, there's a certain school of thought that thinks that like people need actual hard, challenging work. Like
I agree. Yeah.
Not just like some people, but people need it.
Yeah, I agree.
And this is, I mean, I feel like this is a pretty mainstream idea. And so what happens when there just aren't enough jobs? Like, aside from, take money out of the equation, what happens when you just have half the population not working at all? Because I feel like people are generally dissatisfied with not progressing their lives.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I'm much happier now than I was maybe a year ago because of some changes in my life. But I mean, I completely agree with that. I think the issue is that Trevor, I wouldn't mind if I had like the salary I have right now, and they were like, you can either have this salary adjusted for inflation forever and like never have to work again, but like you could work part-time or something if you wanted to, and then you can do all these other fun things like have a podcast. Like I would prefer to do those things, and I think I could have a satisfying life. But it's about your mentality too, because there's some people who would do that and then they would just sit at home and like on Facebook and like play Xbox all day, which I like Xbox as much as the next guy. Well, maybe not as much as the next guy, but I mean, I like that. I like playing video games and stuff, although I don't do it. But
right, I mean, I
think people end up, if you have the wrong culture and the wrong mentality, you end up living in a shoebox apartment ordering pizza all day and then waking somebody just finds you dead later.
Yeah.
So
I think we're running a real risk of creating like
a dystopia.
Like entertainment
dystopia.
Well, I mean, sure, but what I'm saying is like specifically like just entertainment consuming drones that don't do anything, and like they exist because they exist because basically they were born and then we don't have anything for them to do. Like the world doesn't have anything for them to do, so they just kind of consume media until they die.
Yeah. Which I think to go back. So I've been on a lower population kick recently. So to go back to that, if you have fewer people, I think that makes that a little bit easier. Because if you have too many people, then you like for sure don't have jobs, and then that's when it becomes even more of a problem.
Man, this is a radical podcast today.
Yeah, we're This is all the anti-population thing. So I've been having a debate with one of my friends. So when he listens to this, I'm sure he's going to be like, we had this debate a bunch, because he doesn't think the growing population is a problem, and I think it's a gigantic like elephant in the room. So we've been having this debate, but. Yeah, I don't want to like get into the debate here, but I just wanted to call that out so when he's listening to be like, "Hey,
welcome to Marx this week."
Yeah. So,
all right. So next topic, Eric.
Yeah. So recently, the Trump administration said that people from El Salvador must leave. So there's like 200,000. So for some background, in like the early 2000s, there was a pretty bad earthquake in El Salvador. And I guess like a couple 100,000 people from there basically got temporary, like, you can live in the United States until
asylum.
Yeah. So since then, both George W. Bush and Barack Obama have been, I don't want to say kicking the can down the road, but I think because I don't want to convey like a sense of good or bad here for setting this up, but the kicking the can down the road, I think, is the right.
I think it's accurate.
Yeah. So they've been
passing the buck.
Yeah. So they've been re-extending this. So they were given temporary asylum, but it's temporary. So each whenever it comes back up, they've just been re-extending it. And then Trump, I guess, basically was like, "Yeah, we're not re-extending that." So, I don't know. On one hand, like, I mean, you really feel bad, but on the other hand, if, the damage from the earthquake is over, like, shouldn't they go back?
You have to go back.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't know. I don't really care that much about immigration. It's just it's a non-issue for me because I'm generally pretty pro-immigration, but I'm generally pretty
like I'm pro-immigration, but I also don't
want to give them. I mean,
I don't like little like you just like I don't know. It's like a workaround, like just everybody like
H-1Bs.
Yeah. So, because I like when immigrants are pretty great generally. But I just don't like,
I mean, the problem is anytime you take in an immigrant population, initially it's a drain on your economy.
Yeah. Although, so over time, though, immigrants generate more money than they.
Well, that's why I said initially. Yeah. And so the thing is, it's always something to take into consideration, right? If you do like huge, massive immigration, like Germany's doing, for instance.
Yeah.
You're going to wreck your economy short term.
You're going to cause all sorts of problems, especially if you have fewer jobs than you did before. And then,
yeah.
So I feel bad, but at the same time, I why don't they want to go back to El Salvador?
Well, living in America is also not a right.
Yeah, exactly. And that's, I really dislike that mentality. I think,
everybody should be able to live in America.
Yeah. So
all 7 billion people on the planet.
That's what people think. So here's the thing, Trevor. I'm sure I'm gonna get hate mail for this and everything. So people, they like cite like the Statue of Liberty, like give us your sick and weak and poor and all this stuff, which was a great sentiment, 150 years ago or whatever when, things were different. But I hate to say this, but the days of that are over. Like there's no, maybe you can move to Canada because they have a lot more space and you can just move like. To northern Canada and live in like Yellowknife or something, which I do not recommend probably. But at the end of the day, you have no right to. Frankly, you have no more right to live here than you do in New Zealand. New Zealand not too long ago passed a law so that foreigners can't buy homes. But I don't see the mainstream media, or I don't see my fellow liberal media. Or liberal people, being outraged about that. Like, how dare New Zealand not let, people, immigrants from wherever come in and buy homes, right? So, the fact is that times have changed. The United States is no longer this country where like every immigrant in the world can just come live here. It's just not like reality anymore. And I think people need to kind of get over it.
People also tend to forget, I think, conveniently that that our mass immigration was built on the back of, slaughtering Indians and taking their territory, right? When we were importing immigrants, by the boatload, we were doing it while aggressively expanding our borders and engaging in territory wars.
Yeah, people. You would come to the United States. You join the army at the time or whatever, the British or French army, depending on when the time was.
Well, no. I'm talking like late 1800s. I'm talking about.
Oh yeah. Even then, like you could still. You could still join like the British I don't know. At this point, I guess Canada, but you'd still join that. People were still, slaughtering Indians and stuff.
Well, yeah. Even in the Wild West, expansion was primarily done through, taking lands that people were already in.
Yeah. Yeah. So even the whole, like the narrative that like this is a place for immigrants. It's like, well, don't get it twisted. It doesn't matter if you're an immigrant from, today or 200 years ago. It doesn't matter what your skin color is. Like the facts are the same. That like any person coming here basically is, as far as I'm concerned, is just as responsible for the genocide of Indians. If that's what you want to, if you want to get into that, like
American immigration was built on the sort of
right
the machinery of territorial war.
Yeah.
Right, so. Like that's why we were able to import so many people. It's like, all this land became available.
Yeah,
that we can, that we need people for now. Let's take in a bunch of immigrants.
Right,
and how did we get that land?
Right, and they killed Indians, which is sad, and it is what it is, though. But times have changed. Like this isn't a place. The United States is a modern country that is not. It's no longer like. I like people coming here. I don't have any. There's nothing wrong with that, but I don't like if it feels like it's almost like entitlement mentality. Like I'm entitled to come to the United States, and it's like you're not. Get over that.
So I've got a solution for the immigration problem.
What?
Let's annex Canada, go to war against Canada, and then we'll take in a bunch of immigrants because we have new territories.
Yeah. Well, Canada's funny because I think. I mean, Canada has a huge. I mean, they're having a huge. Like they're bringing in a whole bunch of people, and I mean, Canada has a lot more. It's the second largest country in the world. They have a lot more space for people too, but
well, not really. No one's going to live in the Northwest Territories.
Well, I mean, they're either going to do that,
or none of it.
I mean, they're going to get priced out of places like Toronto and Vancouver and stuff, and Montreal. Like, I mean, people. I mean, even if you're not living, you can live in some of the smaller cities.
Like, how many people actually live in none of it though?
Oh, I don't know, like 20 or 40,000 probably. It's not that many.
Yeah, I know, because it's fucking cold.
Yeah, but I mean, at some point, you're not going to be able to afford to live. Like, it just drives me crazy. Like, I don't understand why people don't like get this. Like, you're not entitled to live in like cities. You're not entitled to like live anywhere.
This is why Canada is pumping out millions of barrels of oil. They're trying to cause global warming so that they have more arable land.
Yeah, I think in like if we don't stop global warming, I think in like I don't know 600 years or something, Canada's going to be like the global superpower.
Well, I mean, even in like 100 years, Russia and Canada are poised to be like the most. I mean, basically, along the meridian where they would take the place of like Europe and America.
Yeah.
Just as far as areability.
Right. But
anyway, so really, if you're Canada and Russia, you really don't care that much about global warming.
No, they should. I mean, it's good for them.
Yeah.
Even like Sweden, and because we were talking about that. But so I guess back to the original point. I feel bad, but at the same time, like, why not just fix those countries? So then, everybody from my perspective, every country in the world should be just as livable. Like, I mean, you have differences. Maybe I mean, there's going to be natural differences, but whether you live in the United States or you live in Venezuela, like it should just be a matter of choice and not a matter of like economic or there shouldn't be like political persecution or economic persecution.
Well, how do you fix the problem of some countries being poor?
I don't know.
Also, you don't want countries to industrialize. We've been through this. Like, how do you expect them to be like first world countries if they can't industrialize?
Well, so here's the thing. I think countries like those countries first. The first problem they have to solve is like stop having kids, because it's just not sustainable. The second problem is like maybe we just migrate those people to other countries. So like if you're in nobody should even live in Madagascar.
But how are we going to prevent the world plague from killing everybody if nobody lives in Madagascar?
Well, it's going to happen in India or wherever. So
they have to be able to close their docks. We have to have people there.
Or Hawaii. Everybody should just live in Hawaii and Madagascar.
Yeah. Bomb anyone who comes near them.
Yeah. But I don't know, man. I just think it's going to be it's a huge problem. And then so another thing though is like as automation of jobs and work and stuff kicks in, like the countries that are going to be hurt the most are not like Western democracies. I mean, there's going to be civil unrest for sure if like something doesn't change. But what are you going to do if you're I don't know, like Argentina? I mean, what work? I mean, there'll be like mining work and stuff, but I mean, what else are you going to do?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, the transformation through to information economy pretty much always involves an industrial era for countries, though. Like we see it again and again.
Yeah.
And if they can't industrialize because we push global like things like the Paris Accord or something, like those countries just are never going to be modern.
Yeah. Which is so I mean I think you can find a way to modernize those countries without having to completely destroy the environment forever.
Well, the problem is we just have it hasn't been done.
Well, because there's no political will to it, because most people can't think about the big picture of that kind of stuff.
And so it's less the countries are left to fend for themselves, and the only solution they have.
I don't blame them for that, I guess. I mean, I wish they would. It'd be nice if they kind of realized that they could still make a lot of money with like tourist dollars. Especially if they just start charging a lot more money and then they make it like really safe. But I mean, it's a global problem. It's not like just a U.S. problem or just I don't know why we keep picking on Madagascar other than whatever. But it's not just their problem. I mean, it's a global problem. Like cutting down the rainforest, the Amazon and stuff. That's a global problem. That's not like a Brazilian problem or a French problem. It's everybody's problem. So.
All right. I'm going to move on to the next story.
Yeah. Okay. Beat that to death.
This comes from Johan Hari.
Okay.
Published in The Guardian. Everything you think you know about depression is wrong, Eric.
Okay.
All right. So
continue.
So this is a pretty long article about depression, but it basically tries to make a couple of points. One, that basically SSRIs, which are the most common way to treat depression, at least medically, just for the most part aren't effective. And to that tune, people who go on SSRIs, between 65 and 80% of people who take them end up depressed within a year.
Yeah.
Again. And so they're also subject to the side effects of those, right?
Right.
Like loss of happiness or general emotion, and also huge increase in risk of suicide.
Yep.
So the drugs for the most part aren't effective. And so the reason for this is because there are really two types of depression.
Yeah.
There is, you have an actual chemical imbalance in your head that needs fixed.
Yeah.
And SSRIs are good for that use case, but that's not why most people are depressed.
Right.
The other use case is something in your life really sucks, and you should be depressed.
Right. But you should get over it at some point.
Well,
like if a spouse just died or something, like you should be depressed for some period of time, and then eventually get over it.
Well,
in some aspects, not everything.
Yeah. So with I guess what we would call like non-chemical depression, the solution is fixing the problem. Like you need to somehow resolve the thing that is causing you to be depressed. And SSRIs are terrible, and the problem,
like, they don't fix the underlying problem.
Yeah. And so one of the interesting statistics cited by this article concerns people's work engagement, because this is one of the most common sources of depression is actually people's work.
Yeah.
So about 13% of people say they're engaged in their work, which means they find it meaningful and they look forward to doing their job. 63% say they're not engaged at work, which is sort of sleepwalking through their workday. You're just kind of living out the grind. You put in your 40 hours or whatever. And then 24% of people say they're actively disengaged with their work, which is to say they hate it. Jeez. Like they actively hate their jobs. There are twice as many people who hate what they do as love it. And then the majority of the population just kind of goes through the grind.
Yeah.
How's that make you feel? Like 1 in 8 people like their...
make me feel good, obviously.
1 in 8 people like their jobs, Eric.
Yeah. The thing is, like, so we were talking about this a little bit before the show, but the problem is, like, there are a lot of jobs that are just meaningless. So this actually ties back into, like, the automation thing. But a lot of what people do is either meaningless or very repetitive. And then those meaningless repetitive jobs, a lot of times those jobs you wind up in front of a computer, and you just sit there in front of the computer screen, and you're doing a mindless repetitive thing, and you don't see any sort of reward for your. So who probably the happiest people are probably entrepreneurs, people who work in you run your own little small business and like direct to consumer, like you're selling this thing maybe you made even directly to a person, like you immediately see you get reward for the action, right?
I think studies have been done that show up to a certain point, the more control you have over your work, the more you enjoy it.
Yeah, of course.
But the fact that only 1 in 8 people like their jobs is crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't. It's crazy. Although I also not too surprised, just because, just I guess anecdotal experience. But like I meet people all the time who even work at like the same company, and like they can't stand their job, right? And it's like, there's no good solution because it's just meaningless work.
Yeah.
So.
Anyways,
but the other bad problem is, it doesn't seem like everybody can like become an entrepreneur, because it's not. There's the risk of failure, and if you fail, then like, you're just screwed. Not stigmatized screwed, but like you got to find a way to get back up on your feet.
It's really hard to build the safety net to where people are comfortable to do that.
Very difficult, especially things like home prices increase and what have you, and rent increases and all this stuff. It's difficult. So.
All right. But if you're interested in checking that article out, it was published by The Guardian. You can search Johan Hari, or we have the links in the show notes.
Yeah.
So Eric, next story.
Yeah. So I have a little bit of insight on this because I used to live there. But so there's on yesterday. So how like on like the iPhone and Android phones, they have like emergency alerts and stuff if you so choose to sign up for them, more or less. It's like you can enable it in the setting. So let me read you an emergency alert from January 13th, 2018. Emergency alert. ballistic missile threat inbound to Hawaii. Seek immediate shelter. This is not a drill. So it also wasn't a drill, but somebody pretty much pushed the wrong button, and pretty much is like, a huge false alarm or whatever. So I used to live in Hawaii, and I was never like, during the time back when I lived there, it wasn't, people weren't really worried about North Korea as much. But here's what I think is interesting. So a lot of people were like really outraged about it, but I think overall it was a good thing, and here's why. The first one is that the person so literally like they accidentally pressed the wrong button. So the first like lesson learned here is like that person will never not accidentally press the button, or never accidentally press the button again. And two, they can actually see like what sequence of steps led to the error, and then find ways to mitigate that risk so like you can't just do that again, right?
Well, not only that, you can see like how the public would respond in that event.
Well, yeah, so that's my second point was you can see how the public responds. So there were people who basically were like, they just like got in their car and like got on the highway, or they were driving around trying to find like a bomb shelter or something like that. So I think what's interesting is it's interesting from the public study perspective. So the government in general, or whatever corporation, whoever, military, can like look at what people actually did. And then the second thing is like the personal perspective. So if that was you, like maybe you were, for some reason you thought jumping on the highway would work, and then you realized you were in a giant traffic jam, if that's what happened. Now like, okay, well, that's what happened when I did that. And so like you kind of go through the mental exercise of like, what happens if this actually happens? And then you're a little bit more prepared for it. Although I think it's very unlikely that North Korea is ever going to launch a ballistic missile at Hawaii, but people can actually have gone through those mental steps. It's like
I mean, it's like
all your plans go out the window once you get hit in the face, the first time or whatever. I think this like that same kind of thing, except you didn't actually have to get hit, like you just got fake hit.
Yeah.
So
it's a fire drill, but for
nuclear or ballistic missiles.
I mean, we used to do that though. We used to have duck and cover. Remember?
Yeah. But there's
we don't remember because we're not.
Well, yeah, I mean, I know of it existing, but there's like they have electronic signs, and there's a picture in the article. It's like missile alert and error. There is no threat, and there's just like a bunch of people on the highway. Like, I really don't think you'd want to get on the highway. I don't think that's a smart move, but
yep,
whatever.
All right, so next article.
So South Korea plans to ban. This happened, a few days ago, but South Korea plans to ban cryptocurrency trading, which I think is a really dumb idea for South Korea, because I don't think they can actually ban it, and then B, they're going to wind up kind of getting left out. Because although I like to make fun of cryptocurrency because I think a lot of it's stupid, but the underlying technology is pretty great, and I think it has a lot of use cases. So a complete blanket ban on it is pretty short-sighted by the government, I think. So
yeah, I mean, so they're trying to bail their people out of it at the same time. China is dumping massive amounts of money into it.
Oh, I think China's banning it too.
Is it?
Yeah. China, yeah. Like, I'll pull up an article I just read not too long ago.
That's weird because I mean, there's a lot of currencies. Maybe even the majority of currencies are majority Chinese owned. It's weird.
Possibly. The thing is, like, for China, like, they don't like China has no interest in this because unlike the United States.
Well, I guess I mean, individual Chinese entrepreneurs have a huge stake in the market. Is what I should say.
Right, and then China wants to gain control of those people.
Yeah, well,
so, and they can't
maintain control.
Yeah. So they, China's not too keen on Bitcoin either. Like they shut down miners and like all kinds of stuff.
I mean, that's typical Chinese government stuff, though.
Yeah.
All right, while you're looking at that, I'm gonna bring up the last story. So,
okay.
Mark Zuckerberg wants to change your Facebook feed for the better.
Ooh.
We've got a link to Mashable, but basically Zuckerberg is like, the thing that I made is kind of bad, so. Not that he said that, but so essentially he's like, all right, we want to provide people with more meaningful content, even if it means they're going to be on our website less.
Yeah.
Which is tough talk in an industry where we're like, maximizing
he did
engagement, which is to say maximizing addiction is like the MO.
I did read that after he made that announcement, he personally lost like $3 billion in net worth because Facebook stock dropped.
Really?
Yeah. So even if he is, I mean, I do think that I don't think he's like a malicious person. I think he's like pro Facebook, and I think he buys, he's buying into like this idea that it would like, I don't like, he's not like trying to cut your throat, like he has this thing that he thinks is good, and even if we disagree, like I don't think he's out trying to kill people or like harm people intentionally. I think it's just the effect, and that he just can't see it. But,
although, to be fair, he is willing to completely concede to the Chinese government, and to keep
most companies are. I mean, Apple does. Google
saying,
does. Everybody, yeah.
A lot of all the companies are willing, or all the tech companies are willing to engage in immoral behavior in order to access specific markets.
Yeah,
but that doesn't. I mean, they have to acknowledge that they're being immoral, right?
I mean, they should, but they're not going to.
Well, I mean, at least in their heads. So what I'm saying is he's not as moral as he thinks, right?
Oh yeah, I agree with that. I think, but he probably doesn't. I mean, I just think he's thinking of it differently than
I imagine
maybe somebody from the outside perspective.
Yeah, maybe he's like every human and is like, you got to do what you got to do. I guess I got to concede to the Chinese government to make my money.
Yep. So, so we didn't even talk about what they were trying to do. So they're trying to make it like more local, right? Like the newsfeed, like show you more content from your friends and then your local area, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Which I think, if you just took the article at its face value without any additional, work or whatever, like that sounds like a good idea, but I don't really know if it'll pan out.
You also can't trust Facebook to have good intentions, just like any company.
Right. Yeah.
But especially Facebook.
Yeah.
All right. So should we move on to the feature then, Eric?
Sure. Let's do it.
All right. So, for today's feature, we have, or I guess this week's feature,
the return of
James Damore.
Yeah.
Turns out he is suing Google for discrimination against
white male conservatives.
Yes, white conservative males.
Yep.
Now, so he's suing Google, which we predicted would happen on the podcast,
because he has no other choice.
Yeah, because getting employed is going to be really hard at this.
Yeah,
point.
I mean, I would hire him just because, like, I would just hire him, I guess, but whatever.
So here's the thing, though. The Exhibit B of this lawsuit that's been published is amazing.
Yeah,
like this is the most drama-filled. Just this is why this is a feature, because I'm basically going to read you some stuff, Eric.
Yeah. And
let's talk about it.
Okay.
Let's see the dirt, the preliminary dirt they were able to dig up to try and justify a lawsuit.
Yeah.
Because it's juicy.
And these are like screen caps, right, from like emails and
stuff? Is a bunch of a bunch of material collected. I imagine Damore probably has some friends on the inside who are just going to the internal forums and just collecting stuff.
And I guess while you're looking that up, to refresh our listeners' memory, so James Damore, he wrote an article which has flaws, but was also widely mischaracterized by the news, like the media cycle. But
including the.
No, I don't know if he should have. I don't think he should have wrote it, but whatever. So he wrote basically that. I don't know that there are biological differences, and that's why women don't go into tech jobs. I think it's more of a social thing than but there's also some biological element. There couldn't not be that case, but whatever. We need to do a better job as a society getting women interested in in math and science in general, and engineering in particular. So, but I think that's more of a social issue I think it's more heavily weighted towards a social issue than a biological one, but. So he wrote this article, got fired from Google. People freaked out about it. People really freaked out about it, and then now he's suing Google for discrimination. So
yep. So all right, Beeline 164. Chris Bussell posted a message suggesting that employees should leverage Google's influence to have cheesy white males removed from speaker lineups and conferences.
Yeah.
Here's the quote. Invited to speak externally? Wield your influence for good. Next time you get invited to speak at a conference, especially if you're a white male, ask the organizer to confirm if you're the only white male on the panel or lineup. If not, say you're honored, but you must decline and give the reason. And because you were at Google, guess what? They're going to change the panel for you.
Yeah.
You'll feel bad about inconveniencing, but not that bad. When the cheesy white male executive is in the green room glaring at you because he was bounced at the panel in favor of a woman from his team, you'll feel pretty damn smug. Or you won't. You'll feel bad that you might have put her in a tough spot, and you'll go above and beyond to make good with the schmucky senior dude.
Oh my god. Okay.
Right. Thoughts?
It's just really cringeworthy. I think on panels, in general, like it's good to have a diverse set of perspectives, but you want diversity of thought, right? And just because there's more than one white guy on a white woman too, just because there's more than one white person on a panel doesn't, in a country that's still 75% white, doesn't make it inherently like not diverse. So I don't know. I comments like that are just really. I'm sure I'm gonna be cringing the whole time you're talking, but I was like, ugh.
Oh, this is so bad. All right, now this is a forum thread. Well, guess it's time for revolution.
Okay. How do you like a bunch of nerds are going to get together and have a revolution?
This is after Trump, right after Trump was inaugurated.
Oh God.
How do people cope with this? I've never been a part of a military or war effort before. I guess I can be useful as IT support for hacking, but my emotions keep swinging between despair and anger, and I don't know how useful I'll be.
Yeah.
Get in touch with your local friendly Antifa. Don't try to do this alone. There are people who have been fighting the neo-Nazis for decades. They're nice people generally. Get to know them.
Yeah.
If you don't know where to find them, try an Occupy group, like Occupy Oakland, although not Occupy New York City. That one has been co-opted by fascists. Or just find Black, Latina, and Muslim activists and ask how you can support them. I won't say violence has no place, but if you're going to be doing something risky, I can't overemphasize the importance of networking with people who have been thinking about scenarios like this for years and building relationships with them. Dude, we are only powerful if we organize.
Could you imagine like posting this like on a like at your company's like internal? You would get fired like so quick because there's no place for that in the workplace.
Well, here's why I think this is a part of the lawsuit. Because if he's getting posted or if he's getting in trouble for he was fired for posting on these same forums, right? But these are forums where people are like recruiting for Antifa.
Yeah, which is a beyond stupid organization, along with all the neo-Nazis and all that.
I think he's got a good case for a double standard when people are like literally like trying to plot revolutions on their forums.
Yeah, that's so ridiculous, man. Ugh. Okay.
All right. This comes from the Developer Product Group. If you put a group of 40-something white men in a room together, they'll come back telling you how. If you put a group of 40-something white men in a room together and tell them to come up with something creative or innovative, they'll come back and tell you how enjoyable the process was and that they want to do it again, but they come up with fuck all as a result. Emphasis added.
Okay. That's stupid, but...
The Google employee stated that this statement was a violation of the Google Code of Conduct and was creating a hostile workplace as it targeted Caucasians, males, and individuals over the age of 40. Yeah. So that's what the lawsuit alleges for that statement.
That's exactly what that does.
There are literally hundreds of these.
Don't read them all because I'm going to explode.
A majority of people who identify themselves as Republicans also believe the Earth is 10,000 years old. Therefore, by logical deduction, I personally believe that a majority of self-identified Republicans can be placed in the bucket category of idiots or uneducated, and I'm not afraid to say it on this forum.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not at all singling out an individual Republican as an idiot. That would be a jerk and not at all appropriate in the workplace. I know many Republican voters who are smart, intelligent, kind, etc. They just prioritize things differently than I do.
Yeah.
Likewise, I also feel it's okay to classify people who think the Earth is flat as idiots. I still won't do it in a normal workplace setting, however, and I'd never do it to an individual.
Yeah.
So,
that one wasn't... I don't know. That one wasn't like too bad, but...
compared
to what we just read, like that wasn't like too crazy. Oh, geez. We'll never work there.
You're not progressive enough, Eric.
That's for sure. Well, I'm progressive just in the wrong ways.
I used to be a pacifist. It was easy to be one when you weren't being attacked. Large-scale violence always starts with ideas and rhetoric, because rhetoric eases organizing, and large-scale violence requires the consent and participation of many people. How do you let people know that you don't take their ideas seriously? How do you defend yourself against ideas that can only cause harm to you? Communicating that you refuse to listen is one way, but it doesn't scale. No platforming powerful fascist does scale. So does punching one on camera. Here's a frequently asked questions list of things that people have asked me, or in some cases, they would have asked me if they had thought to ask rather than assuming an answer, about why I think fascism must be stopped by any means necessary. And then under that, we have how to properly punch a Nazi. It's a little cartoon. Step 1, make a tight fist. Squeeze all the air out. Hit with the first two knuckles. If you hit with the last two knuckles, you may break your hand, making it harder to punch more Nazis.
Yeah.
Use your legs and hips. Plant your back leg and pivot on it as you punch. This turns your hips and drives the hips forward. So we got a little. I mean, it's literally a how to properly punch a Nazi guide.
Yeah, they just shouldn't be. Like, you shouldn't be posting that kind of stuff. It's just not appropriate for the workplace, really.
Then we have a little. You remember the it used to be a default subreddit. The like, what do you call them? The little meme things. Advice animals used to be a default subreddit, right? So there was like this like puffin that people always use for like. Yeah. So, anyways, there's like a controversial puffin post on the forums. If you want to increase all diversity at Google, fire all bigoted white men.
Okay, I mean, you should fire bigoted people, but
just more comics. I mean, so you can look through this stuff, but there's literally just hundreds of posts where people are.
I can't believe he got that much like evidence. Like that's crazy.
Well. I imagine all you have to do is just have a friend who can like screen cap everything.
Well, yeah, but like if I don't know, maybe yeah, I guess I could see it because I could see the people who wrote that stuff not even thinking about, like maybe they're gonna.
This one's kind of juicy. I googled big 5 personality differences, male female, which is psych terminology, and nearly every top result backed the offensive claims of neuroticism and agreeableness. Meaning not absolute, differences by gender. Is the search wrong? Should we link to academic findings that may support incorrect stereotypes? Yeah. So this person is literally suggesting that they manually edit the Google search results because the results are offensive.
Yeah. At least offensive to them.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, ultimately, I think he's gonna get a settlement for sure.
He's definitely settling out of court for millions.
Yeah, because I mean. There's just you can't say that kind of stuff in the workplace and then single out because to be frank, most of those viewpoints, I mean, to express those in the workplace is basically crazy. And for what he did was just in line with it's in line with the expected typical behavior of Google employees based on the evidence you're reading here. Like to me, that it seems like expressing political viewpoints is a normal standard for that company, and so. Just because his is different, like they can't fire him for that. So he's going to get a huge settlement out of that.
But I mean, I think he's going to get a huge settlement for a different, more tactical reason.
Yeah,
Google doesn't want this to go to discovery. Absolutely does not. Do you think they want to dump their whole email forum to the courts?
No, but I would love to see that. Oh, that'd be so great.
Oh man. But yeah, I guarantee. Not guarantee, but I would take 9-1 odds against me that this doesn't even go to discovery.
Yeah,
they settle before that
probably. So
if anyone wants to take me on that bet, I'll
email us.
What?
Email us at Columbus This Week.
Yeah, I'll go $90 against 10.
Yeah,
I'll take your bet. All right. So that's it for that. I will provide a bunch of links because there are links all over the place because this exhibit massive. Right. I mean, I don't like. Who was just sitting there just screen capping all this stuff? They must have been having so much fun at work.
Yeah.
Just like, oh,
well, maybe he or she got promised some money for doing it or something.
Yeah. But this is, I mean, it just makes Google look so bad. Like,
yeah. Well, I don't think like I don't fault Google like the corporation for this. It's just that
I mean they're responsible for their own culture.
True. But I mean I think the issue is like when you've hired some frankly people who are expressing inappropriate things in the workplace. Like I don't even care if people have those viewpoints because you're allowed to have viewpoints, but you can't express those in the work. And if you can, then you can't single out other people for having different or other crazy views. So if you were, let's say you were a Nazi, like they can't fire you for being a Nazi if other people are like promoting other crazy, they're engaging in other political discussions or whatever. Like as much as I abhor Nazis, right? You can't also fire them if you're like letting other, like if you're letting like, I don't know, Maoists or something like that. Like, I don't know, just, whatever the, not equivalent of Nazis, but like also bad, like Stalinists, like people are pro-Stalin or something. Like if you're going to fire somebody for being a Nazi, you got to fire them for being a Stalinist because they're both bad. Right?
Yeah. Like I didn't pull it up, but there were also people literally just like talking about their sex lives on this forum.
Yeah. That's so inappropriate. I can't even believe that.
There was one post. Oh, man.
I know which one you're talking about.
Yeah. Where somebody was talking about like enjoying the fact that at Google they could like, they could sleep at work because their wife and her boyfriend needed the house for the night.
Yeah. Which, I mean, that's fine if that's what you want to do, but like it's just not it's just not appropriate for the workplace.
Oh man.
But
I really hate using cuck as an insult, but like the person is literally like, talking about getting cucked on the Google forum.
Yeah. It's just, dude, it's just not appropriate. I don't know.
Like what did Damore say that sticks out on this crazy land forum? Because I mean, I used to go on Something Awful all the time.
Yeah.
I feel like people are saying stuff on the Google forum that would literally get you banned from Something Awful.
Probably, yeah.
You get $10, man.
Yeah. Well, anyway, that's
Anyways, if you just want to like shit post all day and not do any real work, I think
apparently you can get hired at Google and do that.
Just make sure you have the right politics.
Right.
All right. So, you have anything else, Eric?
Nope. It's cold, but I like it, so that's about it for me.
Yeah, well, this has been Columbus This Week. I thank you for listening, and I hope you tune in next week. Bye.